Hello everyone, welcome to day number 2 here of the Rift Legends battle. We're through to the semi-final and the grand finals today, the top 4 teams, to see who will get the bragging rights as one of the best teams and one of the best countries in EMEA, but also get a spot into the Rift Legends showdown next weekend. My name is Stuart. Join me again for another blasting day of Wild Rift action is Mr. Rafa. How are we feeling? I know your sleep schedule's a bit all over the place, so maybe you're on the right timeline of EMEA. Maybe that's just how things go right now.
Well, listen, I figured coming into today, it's going to be the final day and sending a single team winner to the Rift Legends showdown next weekend. So I had to put on the Anima Squad skin lineup, you know? I got to get all the energy hyped up for our last 2 best of 3s going into today.
Man, I should get a hat myself. Maybe I'll do that in between the games. I have plenty of hats. I have like 5 hats behind me that I could choose from. You have to choose, Rafa.
Okay.
Which one I wear?
The one on the Poro's head right now. That one.
Wait, no. Like well, yeah. I mean, that's the Vietnam one. That was the Vietnam. That's the Vietnam one.
And I said what I said.
Oh, okay. Anyway, take us through the bracket.
Yeah. All right, for just to catch up everyone at home, if this is your first time tuning in to Stuart's channel, we are in the middle of Rift Legends Battle, which is essentially our wildcard version of sending one last team into the Rift Legends Showdown. Over the course of the past couple of months, we've had open circuits and qualifiers that have qualified 3 teams all across the EMEA region via a point circuit. Those 3 teams are already awaiting their last opponent, which is going to emerge from this bracket you see on screen from Rift Legends Battle. The first best of 3 we're looking at today is between France and CIS, the Baguettes versus the Kayak Tryouts. And then our last best of 3 will be the winner of that top side upper semifinals and the winner of the other side of the bracket semifinals between MENA and Spain, or España, I should say. Stuart, how are we on the hat situation?
We're good. I think I'm just lining things up, and we're good.
Yeah!
The string's a bit long, to be fair. I thought it would be a bit shorter than this, but you know, there you go.
Amazing.
Represent.
Amazing. My I think these are called I can't remember the traditional
I can't remember the name either. No.
It's something lam or loy, something like that. Anyway, they were cool hats and they were very useful. I have mine somewhere behind me, but I wanted to rock the Anima Squad energy. But here we go. Baguettes, Kayak Tryouts, first game of the best of 3. Yeah,
Nonla. Also means leaf hats. There you go.
Makes sense.
Learn something new.
No, Italy again. Oh.
Well, this is going to be exciting, Rafa, because obviously we saw Baguettes. Yeah, we saw Baguettes yesterday.
S'il vous plaît, mon ami, please.
They banned Italy yesterday, though, Rafa. You should be used to this. Also, this hat keeps moving. There's no way to really stick this hat. I need, like, glue to stick it on my head so
Get
it
it to
doesn't move.
lock in, Stuart. We got a hype semifinal on our doorstep right now. Bar taken off the table by Kayak Tryouts. They know how I feel like
right now it's Doctor Strange.
Why Doctor Strange in particular?
I don't know. No. It's Doctor Strange. Isn't Doctor Strange's assistant? I can't remember his name. The one that wears a hat like this.
Are you talking about Wong?
Is it Wong that wears the hat like this?
I don't think I've ever seen Wong wear a straw hat before.
No, there's someone who wears the hat like this from Marvel. Anyway, different topic. We're getting out of hand. I'm pretty sure there's someone that wears a hat like this. Maybe it's just someone from Marvel that's not part of the films. I can't remember the name. Anyway, Italy banned again. Unlucky for you, Mr. Rafa. But Baguettes did ban it yesterday, so I guess Final X doesn't feel comfortable on it, but also I guess they just don't want to give it over to KPBT. This will be the first time we see these CIS teams. So we've got Timing in there, who's a player that I recognize, and also Shin, who I think was a Baron Lane main before, has been over to the jungle. So I think there's a few familiar places on the CIS roster. And we heard from Purge as well that this was actually the 4th or 5th best performing team over the past few months, but they didn't qualify through the showdown and the top 3 teams from the previous months. So they're trying to qualify through this tournament to get into the showdown next weekend. But Ashok's first pick being picked up. We saw the priority of it yesterday, pretty high. Could be flexed around in multiple different roles. We have to see
Yep.
what the response is here.
I think Aatrox and Wild Rift is one of the more fascinating differences in League because you see a lot of bruiser items work exceptionally well on Aatrox that would not work on League of Legends PC. I see a lot of Trinity Force being built on Aatrox, but because of the scaling attack speed all the champions get in Wild Rift, makes sense and it works well with all the ability casts you get. Meanwhile, KBT going back for a little bit of a classic Rumble pairing, maybe looking at the Poppy as well. Some versatile playmakers already, Stuart. The Equalizer paired exceptionally well with any AoE CC, and while Poppy's Keeper's Verdict is a little bit harder to pull off, you have to get into the thick of the mix there. If you snapcast it, it is a AoE knockup onto multiple members in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. It depends what we really want, what you want to use it for. In the end, do you want to knock enemies away, or do you want to knock them up to set them up for the potential equalizer or other spells on top of that as well? But yeah, two really strong power picks here for KBT, and we'll have to see what the response is. Lucian's going to be picked again for Jash, My Little Pony. Don't know why his name is My Little Pony. It's so I'm just going to call him Jash every time. People will know who it is. And then Rise potentially for Random in the mid lane. What I'm realizing more and more with Random as I've been watching him is he doesn't really play a lot of these bruisers. You know, we saw a lot, especially like in Vietnam and also just throughout the last couple of days, these solo laners, even in the mid lane, a lot of them still like to play these bruiser types or these bruiser mages, I guess you can say, like the potential of the Gwen or Rumble or any of these other champions. But Random is just like, yeah, I prefer to play these mages. We saw yesterday on Aurora. We now see today on Rise. So he much prefers to play these mages, these scaling mages, which can be a really big carry potential in the later stages of the game. So bit of adaptation there for Random, but he's a player that can pilot pretty much any champion at the highest level.
Right. I mean, Mages seems to be the preferred, but then again, he busted out his signature Fiora in the second game as well, which was
that is true.
Yeah, definitely a treat. Maybe we'll get that in this next game after our first one of this series. KBT though, banning out that Rel, making sure that we do not see any Magnet Storm engages coming through from the side of the Baguettes, as well as an Olaf, who could take advantage of the overwhelming amount of CC available to KPT and just ignore with the Ragnarok. But this already points to a lot of the support pool trying to be thinned out by KBT, as well as trying to target any other solo lane options to fully flesh out the damage profile from Baguettes.
And Corki's going to be locked in, so a bit of a safer AD carry option with Ezreal Band, Misfortune Band, and a Sivir Band. Corki's the one that timing is going to fall back to. And now we're going to see what the final pickups are for Baguette. We're expecting the Aatrox, I would say, most likely to go into the jungle on Final Wax. It's definitely a sort of Final Wax sort of champion. You can play it through the jungle. It clears through the jungle pretty quickly. You can go somewhere like Fleet Footwork. With that Volibear locked in, expected the Volibear to go into the Baron lane and then Aatrox in the jungle. But there's still that flexibility. I just think Volibear's jungle clear is just a bit too slow. So Aatrox clears through the jungle much quicker. And then Nocturne on the other side. So we saw yesterday there, it was actually Baguette piloting the Nocturne to full effect. And, oh my god, we're straight in level 1.
Hell yeah, give me that level 1 bloodbath action, baby. But already no one has really burned any flashes. I think there was a summoner heal already used at the top of it. And aren't you telling me that's all the action that we get straight out? Wow, I feel a little bit cheated. I'm not going to lie, Stuart, but KBT and Baguettes making sure that they are not throwing away game 1 at level 1.
I mean, the draft ended and the production like, yeah, we're just going to go straight into game. There's no time to really chat. We want the action. And it started straight away there at level 1. As you said, I think it was only Heste that used the heal there for the Brom. Core solution Brom, again, a very, very strong combo. And Brom can work very well against the likes of the Nocturne trying to jump in, even the Poppy as well. So it's going to be very, very powerful there. Random actually going into one of the side lanes. This is something that I expected a lot more from yesterday and also kind of last week in Vietnam, but we didn't actually see it too much, was the dual lanes in the mid lane. So it gives the supports a lot more time to roam around and be able to make an impact and kind of work as that second jungler. So we're going to have to see if any of the supports are able to do that with Heste and also Crocodile on the other side.
Scuttle Crab is about to spawn in the next few seconds here. Both of the junglers ending up on the bottom side of the map, but with late backs being taken by both My Little Pony and Hest, it does give a window for Shin to have priority from his mid lane duo as well as his bottom lane to try and scoop up the bottom side map for vision control. Crocodile's got to be a little careful though. He's only level 2, hits level 3 as the Nautilus, but I don't think his Rumble can really do much there, so he is forced to flash over the wall.
Yeah, a bit of a scary situation there. So that's exactly what I mentioned, though. You will see the roams happening a lot for these supports, and Nautilus is one of them supports that can make a really huge impact. But now it's Heste on the bottom side. Rumble might have to burn his flash.
Rose is going to wait out for it, but the phase rush movement speed allows him to go back in. He's got Crocodile in reinforcements in the wings. Hess locked up by the Nautilus. The jar. Ah! He doesn't hit the hook. He hit the minion instead. Now Rose is forced to flash away. Oh, they thought they had the upper hand. And with Final Wax showing up to the party as well, Baguette's come out on top with 2 kills.
Oh, it was a really misplayed hook there, unfortunately. And you saw that the power of the Brom passes there really came into effect when you're stacking it onto the Rumble. But actually, interestingly enough, the Rumble taking phase rush. So he didn't actually needed to flash the first time, but the second time around, he had to flash. But in the end, Heste with the long range max first ability hits the Rumble in the end and is able to get both of the kills. So Heste getting ahead, and then obviously Final Wax coming in to help out as well. So a big lead here start of this game, and 3 Sheens. A Sheen for you, a Sheen for me, a Sheen for everyone. But Random needs to be a little bit careful. He's all good.
Random is stepping up. He thinks he's got friends in his side, which technically he does with Hest and Final Wax showing up. But Shin can always pop that paranoia if he wants to lock down a target. Just walks up to Hest and throws down the fear. Random does get a chance to safely recall. We'll have an opportunity to walk back to lane. No harm, no foul whatsoever. And right now, we're at the 3.5 minute mark here, Stuart. So far, Baguette's maintaining that slight gold advantage. I want to see how well they can push this lead before Kiteback Tryouts have a chance to capitalize and look for a comeback.
Yeah, we'll have to definitely look around the first objectives here to see what the power spikes are going to be. Rumble actually just using the ultimate on the bottom side so that he can go back to base and try and buy some of his components. Be interesting to see what sort of build this Rumble does go. Looks like it's just going to be the Oblivion Orb, so the anti-heal as the first item, which is pretty nice here, to be honest, because you have the healing from Aatrox, you have the healing from Lucian eventually, and also the Volibear. So just wants a little bit of that anti-heal early on, but it's going to delay that 1 item power spike, which is going to be a little bit scary, to be honest with you. But overall, looking at the items, not really any surprises. You see both the Lucian and the Corki both having Sheen, so both building towards that Essence Reaver. Very, very strong first item. Has the old Solari Charge Blade passive of just every time you use an ability, you're next to auto attack, still extra physical damage. So it's very powerful for these sort of champions and these caster AD carries that just like to use their abilities a lot.
Sure thing. And for Baguettes, trying to do the best they can to maintain this slight gold advantage. Really, it's only quite visually relevant in Volibear's pockets for Dandelion, which is probably why Rose felt somewhat compelled to try and stop a lot of the sustained power he can get in a 1v1 situation. He's using a lot of reinforcements coming up from the top side. Timing and Crocodile make their way over. But the reinforcements of Hest and Final Wax ensure that Dandelion does stay safe under that tower. And now, it leaves about 30 seconds before both of our neutral objectives spawn on the Rift.
Shin just trying to play a little bit aggressive on the bottom side, but Random just going to use the Ghost straight away as a protective measure. But now the Nocturne's on the opposite side of the map here and actually gets cancelled by Random. And oh my god, actually able to do a lot of damage. He might even go in with the ultimate as well. Shin uses a spell shield though to stop the damage from Random. And that means that Random is going to get caught out, maybe a bit too over-aggressive there. A bit too cocky, I guess, for Random. Going in 1 versus 2, not respecting the spell shield from the Nocturne.
Yeah, Random thought that he was able to, or he would be able to find a quick drive-by and then walk on out, maybe with the power of his passive as well as that phase rush being procced. But that does delay him for this potential objective fight. The rest of KBT still have access to the paranoia. 2k HP on the Ensemble. Final Wax pops the World Ender, but is forced out of the fight. Crocodile keeps him out of the chokehold, and the Ensemble is secured by Shin, but the rest of the reinforcements come through for Baguettes. They're looking for a fight afterwards on the follow-up. They drop the Poppy, forcing the Corki to flash. Timing is forced to retreat.
Everyone's
Flash from
flashing.
Final Wax. Darkened Blades soar and score the earth below him, and Kiteback tryouts are forced to flee.
Oh, everyone flashing forward there. As soon as the Corki flash, Final Wax was like, yeah, I'll follow. Justin's like, yeah, you know what? I'll follow as well. And they dove straight in onto the Corki. Unfortunately, though, it is Heste getting the killing spree with 3 kills on this Brom, which is definitely someone that you don't really want to give all the gold over to when you have someone like a Lucian on your team that wants to get the early aggression and early advantage, and the same with the Aatrox as well. So not really being able to give the kills over to the champions that they want to over the side of Baguettes, but is still able to get that advantage over on the Rift Herald. The Rift Herald, though, does go over to the side of KBT, and it is going to be the Nocturne with that Rift Herald. So we'll have to have a look and see what lane he prioritizes to try and take down this first tower.
That's right. He's going to make short work of this dragon, since he doesn't feel confident enough to look for a turret brick plate just yet. Using the powered priority from the mid lane duo, at least gets a nice bit of resistance buff to his overall team. But Baguettes given a little bit more breathing room, knowing that they do not have to deal with the paranoia for quite a while. Big power spike coming in from Rose. That Leandries works so well with overall of Rumble's kit. I imagine next play might just be towards the top side where Shin ends his next jungle clear rotation.
Yeah, exactly. You can see that he went over to the dragon, was able to take that away. You see the Baguettes just not interested in the dragon at all. They're like, yeah, you can take the dragon. And meanwhile, whilst that's all happening, Final Wax can just spend a little bit more time farming up, and you actually waste quite a lot of time when you're taking the dragon. You can see Final Wax is able to clear through his whole jungle. It actually looks like they're going to get a kill here on the top side to the Rumble, and Rumble is going to die on the top lane. So they do lose that mid lane tower, but they are going to trade for that top lane. But look at the rest of KBT. They're going all the way down to the bot lane, and it's just full rotations and grouping around the map, but there's no minions there, Rafa, to help them take this bot tower.
Yeah, really nice job from Dandelion to at least clear the minion wave. Forced to flash away and use the ult just to retreat, but it does buy more time for Baguettes to not only cascade from the turret on the top side into a mid lane turret retrieval by Baguettes, and that at least answers back for the macro play that KBT invested in.
Actually, really nice to see that they were able to get towers and really take advantage there of KBT just playing a little bit too over aggressive in the bottom side. When you know the Volibear has flash and ultimate, it's very, very difficult to lock him down unless you have anything else. But Heste, are we okay, buddy? Not really too sure what he was thinking there.
He trades a lot of his HP, but he tells timings like, hey, sit down, bro. This turret is not safe for you, buddy. And that will at least give Dandelion one wave of free farm, maybe some pressure, since no one else is answering it right away. He might be able to take this turret. Look where everyone else is positioned. It is forcing young Risk to come on over to the bot side of the map. Not sure if he'll get there in time or not. All right, he gets there. Never mind.
Yeah, I guess in time for the minions, yeah. But as you mentioned, I think just when you're putting an AD carry or a marksman in one of your side lanes, it becomes very, very difficult because they're so easy to dive underneath the tower. You saw there that Heste was like pressuring him and just saying to him, it's like, yeah, you need to be a little bit more careful. You can't just walk down here and get some turrets and get some minions for free. So Corki going back into the mid lane, but now they're both roaming down here. Take two of trying to take down Volibear, but again, he has the ultimate to escape. Like, you cannot shut down this Volibear.
KBT thought they had enough time to make the collapse happen, but yep, that Stormbreaker not only is good at disabling towers, but also it's a nice way to get a getaway in case any enemy forces show in their face. KBT trying to solve as much time as they can. A lot of the scaling going to be coming through for this Corki later on, but nice use of the flash there from Shin, forced to get out, but does at least survive. Should be able to come back to the Rift here with 2 items alongside the Stryberg enchantment. Oh boy, Stuart, that's a scary Nocturne if he ever gets on top of My Little Pony.
Yeah, it's going to be very scary. I think the good thing is, though, with the Lucian is you have the Brom Bite at your side, and also you have the extra dash with the Gale Force in there for the Lucian. So should be okay to be able to create that distance from the Nocturne. Like I said, with the Stride Baker, with the slow that you can deal and the extra dash might be a bit of a difference here. But it seems like both the supports are kind of playing the style that I was expecting, roaming around with the junglers or trying to at least roam around to try and blow some cooldowns and some ultimates. You saw the Nautilus is playing quite aggressive with his ultimate. The same with the Brom. Nocturne not having flash though for this potential next fight around this Baron. It's going to be pretty big.
Baron is open for the taking. Neither team is making any strong moves towards it because Baguettes know that positioning is so important. And if any member is isolated, that's an easy pick, an easy target for Shin to just lock down with the Paranoia and spread them apart. No freaky. Baguettes trying to see if they can try and maybe look for a fight on the bottom side of the map. I know the Dragon is not the ideal objective to play for, but it's one that is a bit safer to leash up rather than starting up the Baron raw.
I think for KBT, they're going to think that they can still potentially take the Dragon Soul, but as you mentioned, with that Baron still up as well, they don't want to risk going over to the Baron, but they have to be careful because if too many members do go over to this Dragon, if they try and take it down, then Baguettes can take Baron quite quickly, Rafa, so you need to be a bit careful. You can see now they're actually moving away from this Dragon, actually trying to get more vision control around their jungle, but they don't know the final Wax is just sitting in this bush waiting for them.
Who's he going to spring the trap on first? Arcane Blade doesn't quite hit yet, but the second cast and the third cast do, and he flashes on top to guarantee the knock-up at the sweet spot on the timing. Good night, Corki. And here comes Young Risk just in a little too late. Pops the Gargoyle's shield, but it's not going to be enough here, Stuart, because look at the damage, look at the turret dive, and Dandelion is soaking up every last turret shot to make sure that every last member gets out alive. That's a successful dive from the side of the Baguettes.
And you can see that KBT had no control over their jungle. They didn't know that Final Wax was just sitting, waiting in that bush for everyone to face check the bush. And as soon as the Rumble face check, you have the Brom passive, you have the knockups from the Aatrox as well. And it becomes so difficult to try and escape that dive from Baguettes. And as soon as they hit that go button, they just go full in onto the Corki as well. No way of that Corki escaping. And whilst that was all happening, Nocturne was like, okay, the fight's lost. I'm just going to push through mid lane. So Nocturne didn't even have time to use his ultimate or anything. So it was just a one fight right from the start. And it all goes back to KBT kind of not having the right, not being very decisive about what objective they wanted to go for. They're hovering around the Dragon. And whilst that was happening, Final Wax was able to sneak into the top side of the jungle and get the trap that he needed to try and get his team ahead.
Yeah, it just goes to show how important it is getting that first jump, that first strike is to both compositions. Obviously, we know that KBT want to be able to have that first opportunity with the use of the Paranoia, but if you get jumped and then you are caught indecisive of, do I respond with Darkness? Do I not? Do I just wait for the next fight? Doesn't set up your team for success. Hang on. Well, Stuart, I don't think that was what KBT were hoping for with that Paranoia cast right there.
What do you even call that? What's like a counter way of saying bad Paranoia? Just darkness to death, I guess?
I call that a Nightmare Blunt rotation, but I don't know if that's...
This is why you're here, Rafa. You come up with the good puns. This is why you're here.
Well, it does lead up good for Baguettes, securing a free Ocean Dragon on their side. And the rest of Kiteback tryouts are starting to run out of options as the gold lead is starting to thicken ever more. It's not quite 10,000, but we are very close to that mark. And that is usually the point of no return.
Yeah, I think Baguettes are just so far ahead now. You can see Final Wax just playing with a whole bunch of confidence, just dashing forward over the walls. He doesn't care if he gets caught by a Nautilus ultimate or anything like that, because he has the Quicksilver in his back pocket now, Rafa. So if he does get caught by a Nautilus ultimate or by Poppy, any sort of Poppy crowd control, he can just use that Quicksilver straight away and just do enough damage. You can see now, as you mentioned before during the draft, you know, the Trinity Force going to be really strong, and then just building even more damage. Serpent's Fang to stop the shielding, the Death Stance in there kind of as Aatrox's defensive item, just because it can reduce both the AD and magic damage that's coming through onto the Aatrox. But at this point in the game, this Aatrox is just way too strong. 14,000 gold, 3,000 gold ahead. And you can see he's just playing with a lot of confidence right now.
Equalizer slows him a bit, but he still has a flash available if he needs it. He pops the World Ender, finally skates on over to the other side of the wall. Crocodile brought extremely low. Hesta taking it all up. Here comes the teleporter. Dandelion is ready to thought them with his fist of fury. The bear is angry and he's ready to maul them down into the ground. World Ender from Final Max gives him the movement speed. That Final Max is able to just soar into the base. And that's all 5 members gone there, Stuart. KBT have no more defenses. Baguettes will take game 1 of the series.
Yeah, dominating fashion in the end. The early game was a bit even, few trades going back and forth, but in the end, again, it came down to really the vision control and the control that Baguettes were able to get around the enemy jungle, and a little bit of sneakiness from Final Wax in the end, sneaking in, getting that first strike, as you mentioned, which is so important in Wild Rift, making sure that you're the first one to deal damage first. And usually if you are that sort of person, you have the follow-up afterwards from the Rise and the Brom in the end, which was very, very powerful for Baguettes in the end. And from that point, they took the Baron and they're able to snowball the lead. We know all these players. We know that they're able to use their advantage to the next level. They know how to use the advantage, and they played pretty smoothly. I don't think there was many mistakes in that game. We saw a little bite of hiccups yesterday, Rafa, from Baguettes, but I think today they're pretty much locked in.
And I mean, even in the mid game, where there's a couple fights that Kiteback tryouts took that looked advantageous from a fight standpoint, the macro gameplay that Baguettes always gave them a way to squeeze out an advantage that either stabilized the game and stabilized the results of the fight, or it would just give them that slight extra gold diff. And when you are playing for a scaling jungler like Aatrox, the longer the game goes without this Nocturne being able to just snowball the game out of control, the more it plays into your favor. And I think we cannot credit enough the play that Final Wax was able to manifest in sneaking into that topside red jungle quadrant that you called out.
Yeah, exactly that. And it felt like the Nocturne didn't really use Paranoia aggressively at all this game. There were not really any advantages that Nocturne were able to get throughout the game. He tried to use it a few times on the volley bear on the bottom side of the map, but wasn't able to get any advantages at all. No kills, no gold leads, no real towers or anything from it. And when you're playing a champion like Nocturne, who revolves so much around his ultimate, around his Paranoia, to be the aggressor, to be the one that engages first, if you don't press that go button beforehand, then if Baguettes are the ones that are going to be trapping you, then Nocturne just feels pretty useless. Feels like Nocturne just couldn't really do anything this game at all. And that's one of the reasons why Baguette was able to take this first game. But Rafa, as we just saw at the bottom of the screen, this is Fearless though, best of 3. So no more Aatrox this time around, no more Lucian, no more Brom. Thank you for production for bringing that back up again. So yeah, we're going to be seeing new champions this time around.
And the big question comes down to, what do Kiteback tryouts want to focus on in terms of play style? Like, this composition between Rumble, Nocturne, and Nautilus, just as a team fighting core, you require a lot of communication and commitment when you are making the calls. Because if you have Paranoia, you cloak everything and you shroud a lot of the vision that Baguettes would have had in this instant. That gives you better ways of sneaking in equalizers to cut off their retreat, or putting it into chokeholds where it really punishes Baguette's ability to, if they cannot coordinate in the heat of the moment right there. And then Nautilus, you can even flash forward while covered in darkness to guarantee a depth charge onto a priority target. But it seemed like the one opportunity that I was waiting for in the mid lane, where Lucian was all by himself and Nautilus and Nocturne were waiting in the side lane bush. I thought, okay, Nocturne's going to pop ulti here. Nautilus is going to flash ulti over the wall. Lucian will not be able to see it at all. You can even like fish for a dredge line to see if like Lucian is paying attention and can react to that. But going for a raw dredge line in vision, in daylight, essentially, well, Lucian can react to that. And if you're waiting to connect the dredge line first before committing with the Nocturne, it seems like you don't got that dog in you. Like you're a little too hesitant to pull the trigger. And if you're playing these compositions, you can't do that. You gotta go all in, or go next.
Yeah, I think you summed up perfectly there. It's like I want to see more aggression from KBT with their lineup and with their team comp that they're able to deal. But we never really saw that. We never really saw them being proactive. They were proactive a few times during the laning phase, again, trying to dive on to the likes of the Volley Bear. But that's not a target that you want to be focusing on, Rafa, because we saw plenty of times the Nocturne was the focus. The Volley Bear was the focus for the Nocturne, but Volley Bear just uses ultimate to get away, uses flash to get away as well. And when you're using so many of your ultimates on a tank like Volley Bear and you can't even get a kill, then you're just wasting time. Like you said, you can dive onto the Lucian instead. You could dive onto the Ryze as well. Ryze was just able to free scale this game. You had the likes of the Poppy sometimes in the side lane. You had the Rumble as well. You had the dive potential to go onto the Ryze, but we just never saw that. We just saw KBT in general just playing very, very passive. But KBT will be taking the blue side for game number 2, so they'll have that first pick option. Of course, Volley Bear's not going to be first pick this time around for Baguettes, and hopefully we should be getting in draft relatively shortly, as it started a few minutes ago, so we should be getting in quite soon. So we'll have to see if some of the bans come up again. Of course, like Nidalee was being banned again. Bard, of course, we saw yesterday, can be a very strong pick, can be a more aggressor, but again, if you're picking these aggressive champions, Rafa, I want to see KBT being more aggressive. Don't be hesitant. Kind of, it's a famous thing, I guess, in League of Legends, which I hear all the time. It's like you turn off the nameplates at this point and you just say, okay, we'll play our own game, we'll play aggressive, and we'll take risks that we need to try and win this game. And if they have better hands than us, then hey, so be it. But at least you've given it a try.
Play to win. Don't play to not lose. That is always my preferred mentality. And we definitely saw a team yesterday when we were covering some of the earlier best of threes that played super aggressively. And obviously our criticism was, okay, they weren't always good on the micro and the execution. But I would always rather see that than something like this, where it's like, you have all these tools to be proactive and aggressive, and you're not necessarily on a huge timer, but you don't want to give a free scaling game over to some of the champions that Baguette's locked in for this first match. And it was just lacking that trigger finger there. And I think it's a lot easier to pull back on the aggression rather than try and get the proactiveness out of you. So hopefully that is something that is exercised a bit more in this second game from the side of KBT. Otherwise, their chances of going to the finals is pretty much done. And then it would be Baguettes moving to finals and awaiting the opponents of either MENA or Spain.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's very difficult. I think coming into this tournament, when we saw the rosters, we saw the names of Baguettes, I think they came in as honestly very heavy favorites, and I don't think it would be a surprise to anyone that if they can go on and win the entire thing today and move on to the showdown next week, which I think will be even more exciting, because obviously the showdown next week will be also consisting of the 3 best teams. But as we said before, Kiteback were able to get top 4, but they weren't able to sneak into that top 3 over the last few months. So this is kind of their last chance to make it to that €4,000 final next weekend, or €4,000 showdown, I should say, next week. But moving to the second draft, as I mentioned, KBT now could be on the blue side. So I'll be curious to see if they leave maybe some picks open that they can try and go as a first pick. This is usually what you want to do sometimes on the blue side. Leave some power picks open so you can pick them. But look at our first 2 bans here, Rafa. Not really anything too crazy being banned away so far. And there's a few not really S-tier picks, but more like bait picks, I guess you can say, in a way. Because, yeah, like there's going to be so many power picks if these are banned so far.
Why do you call them bait picks? You don't believe in them? You think
I
they're
don't
fake?
know. Or bait bans, I should say, not bait picks. But like you're banning something like Severe, who's like not really considered a very strong AD carry, more of like a utility AD carry, unless potentially it's like a target ban that Baguettes are very scared about. But we're not seeing any of like these S tier bans that we saw like in our previous game. Like, oh well, there's one of them. Bard, Nidalee, Gwen is still going to be open as a potential as well. A lot of these other champions, we see Viego, Lee Sin are still open for a potential. So a lot of power picks left open here, Rafa.
Leave the Nidalee open, please. I beg you. Lock it in. Lock it in for daddy. I'm just kidding. Sorry. A little carried away. Fiora, though, respecting that random could pull it out in this second game, Baguettes, one ban left to go. Do we see it happen? Oh, Ezreal being hovered.
Ezreal. Okay, wow, they're banning 280 carries again against timing. Rafa, that does leave Viego open. And you think what I'm thinking?
Slam it. Slam it.
Oh, well, there's the Gwen. Oh, well.
Okay, that's fine. It's a distraction. Baguettes opened up the gambit and said, do you want the Nidalee or do you want something else? And KBT probably are like, yo, Gwen is up. We have to take Gwen right here. And then Baguettes, come on, Final Wax. Slam the cat. Aurora is also a good pick. And unfortunately, picking an Aurora most likely decreases the chances of Nidalee coming through because you already have your magic damage there. And not to say that you cannot stack up a magic damage, but usually that is the reason why you would pick Nidalee, is so that you can have strong AD solo laners, a strong marksman, and then you have a tank that pairs really well with rooting and stunning down targets so that those Nidalee spears can't land. Senna, this opens up a world of possibilities, though, for that bot lane pairing.
Yeah, we saw it yesterday from Baguettes as well. It was actually Josh piloting the Senna with, I believe it was Ornn yesterday from Heste, if I remember correctly. So just again, sticking with comfort, of course, random going for the Aurora, but actually it looks like they're going to be taking the Ornn away from Baguettes. So yeah, KBT may be realizing that yesterday they picked up the Ornn with the Senna, but I think there's still many other options that you can go with this Senna. So I don't think they'll be too upset that the Ornn gets taken away. But yeah, as you mentioned, Rafa, I think with the likes of Aurora and also Gwen being picked up, I don't think we're going to be seeing the Nidalee this time around. But it's going to be Galio instead. Could be in one of the solo lanes, but I think it's going to be paired with Senna down in the support role.
Makes sense to me. Senna Galio gives Galio a nice way to just build up full tank, and you already have your magic damage source from Aurora, so Galio doesn't have to go into the burst mage option or build. Misfortune taken off the table, because now Kiteback tryouts have a strong team fighting composition between Cyclone and Call of the Forge God as your primary forms of initiation. You just need damage behind it. Strong preferred physical damage from your marksman. Gwen is going to be nice between the magic and the true damage you get from her passive, but you do want some range so that you are not caught up in the cluster. I was going to say cluster bomb of Galio, Aurora ulti, and everyone get dogpiling in on top of each other. You want to step back from that.
Good hold back there, Rafa. Good save. Good save. I like that. I like that.
Family friendly stream.
Why the hell we got a production? What are we doing? We don't have Sejuani in this game. That can't be a Sejuani ban. What is this? Why are we trolling our viewers again? Hello?
Sejuani ban. I wonder if that just means Baguettes chose not to ban anything.
Maybe they just didn't ban anything.
Yeah. Well, Mbessa and Olaf are taken off the table, so they're still expecting that a physical damage jungler should be coming through from Baguettes sometime soon. Only time will tell. Baguettes still 2 champions yet to be locked in. One for the solo lane, one for the jungle, and Le Shyvana. We're going to get a little draconic in this second game.
It's going to be good fun. I'm surprised that we didn't see any Shyvana on stream yesterday. It's actually a pretty solid pick right now. I think the only thing in a competitive environment with Shyvana is that you're just very, very passive. You know, what we've seen a lot from a lot of these aggressive junglers is a lot of ganking early on, a lot of aggression early on. Shyvana is the complete opposite. Her early game is all about just playing safe, farming up and scaling until you get, 2 or 3 items and you upgrade her abilities. So it's going to be a completely different playstyle for Final Wax, but if he can power farm and if he can efficiently farm, then he'll be able to get a huge amount of gold lead early on.
All right, so a couple updates, Stuart. Not only do we get Hecarim from Shin and Timing's Draven locked in, we also have Dandelion piloting the Gnar. And we got further information that the Sejuani ban was actually intended to be a Nidalee ban, so understandable. Bristle Boar Rider, Cat Lady, different regions altogether, but
well, yeah, I mean, there's not really any resemblances there, to be honest. You tried, Rafa, you tried.
I would be a terrible lawyer. I'm just gonna I was trying to set up a case for our boys, and I was like, I don't know how. Here we go. 1 minute into the game, Shyvana getting proactive with the invades, trying to steal away this red buff, and boy, oh boy, already they are forced out of the jungle. Shin tries to come back in, sweep it away, does secure the red buff with his smite, and is starting to ramp up those rampage stacks on the warpath right now, forcing multiple flashes out of the members of the Baguettes. And you know what, Stuart? Maybe that jungle invade wasn't too good for them after all.
Yeah, I was basically explaining in draft how like the Shyvana wants to play passive, the Shyvana just wants to farm up, but Final Wax just goes super aggressive. And as you mentioned, Rafa, not really the trade that they wanted. They blew so many flashes there. Everyone bar Senna had to use the flash in our bottom side fight, and that's not something you want to do. And now that actually means that Shyvana's going to be a little bit behind. Actually, it seems like Shyvana is able to still clear throughout her whole jungle and still get back to be able to go for that second raptor spawn. So it still works out okay for the Shyvana, but the invade was very, very scary, Rafa, and could have gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, and the fact that Shin on this Hecarim still has a full topside camps worth of rotations that he can go over. This is where Final Wax is trying to see if he can walk on in and steal any camps away. Doesn't look like he was able to get the blue buff secured from Hecarim. And now Shin is really trying to push his luck, looking for the second rotation of the Raptors. I mean, this is like my dream game, Stuart, where the junglers are pulling resources and laners to their attention and trying to squeeze out every camp advantage as possible.
And it's what you want to do against the Shyvana. You want to slow the stacking down from her passive. Every single time that she's able to take down a jungle camp, she stacks her passive. She's able to upgrade her abilities after some time. So putting the Shyvana behind is something that I was expecting, Shin and KBT to do. Look for the invades, try and put the Shyvana in behind. But actually, was it the early game? And we saw a flash actually in the bottom side, and there was an exchange in the bottom side as well as looking in the top lane, but there's a huge fight in the bot lane. Hello! Bot lane fight!
Oh no! There's a lot of action going on into the bottom side of the map. Looks like Baguette somehow emerged victorious. Shin goes down despite having access to flash and Ghost. The turnaround is just insane. And the French squad are on the march once again.
Yeah, we didn't even see what really happened in the bot lane there, but we know that actually Baguettes were able to get 2 kills in the end. Not too sure how that happened, because it was actually flashed forward from the Ornn, and it was KBT that was the ones playing super aggressive to try and, again, shut down the Shyvana, but it did the complete opposite, Rafa. It actually made sure that the Shyvana was able to get 2 more assists and to get more gold under her belt. So that's going to give the Shyvana that little bit of a lead of what she wants early on. Now has the Berserker's Grease to help her farm through the jungle quicker, and also the Sheens. So not really the invade that KBT wanted this time. It's just like loads of comical mistakes from both teams right now. And unfortunately for KBT, this is not what they're looking for going into game 2.
I'm going to keep it a stack, Stuart. Anytime a team invests too much on the invade, shit hits the fan. Something's gone through the system where if it's just like a small camp that they're poaching away and they're only bringing 1 or 2 people from the party, it's okay. Meanwhile, another party in the mid lane, Onslaught of Shadows already used to get a 2-man fear, but not too much. Final Wax is able to push them back going into Draconic Ascension mode. And in the end of the day, KBT and Baguettes both back off.
Hey, this is just so back and forth right now. You can see that no one actually dies, Rafa, in that mid lane exchange. The Galio used the ultimate defensively. Senna is just staying back, farming up at the moment, and in the end, no one dies. It's just 1,000 gold lead right now for Baguettes. Random needs to be a little bit careful though. We have a Draven ganking. Rafa, what's going on?
But the Aurora ultimate allows Random to reposition. So, damn, that I was so ready for the timing Draven gank to get a kill for KPT, but Aurora is one slippery bunny girl, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very difficult to get hold of. Using that ultimate for mobility rather than damage, just being able to teleport all the way to the other side is just very, very powerful and very, very strong. We haven't really spoke too much about the Draven pick at all, but Draven is still stacking the Adoration stacks at the moment from his passive, so hasn't got a kill and also hasn't died yet. Interesting enough, is going for Essence Reaver as a first item, so not going for that Bloodthirster as more of a safety net with the shielding, but more going for the more aggressive approach of trying to deal as much damage as possible. But there is going to be a trade in objectives, but this is no surprise here, Rafa. With Baguette picking that Shyvana, you do want to prioritize this dragon over the Rift Herald. One of the very rare chances that I'm like, yeah, okay, you can take the dragon because it gives you the most amount of stacks for Shyvana to be able to upgrade her abilities. So no surprise there with the trade. It looks like, again, Final Axe is instead going to be invading the bot side whilst the Hecarim is still going back to base and just being able to recall now.
All right, so for Kiteback tryouts, with the ensemble picked up for them, going to try to do their best to get a good gold advantage, trying to slam open one of these turrets either before a fight breaks out or after a fight breaks out to really accentuate that lead. One thing I want to point out though, Stuart, is that a lot of Baguette's gold lead is actually just in the pockets of Hest Galio. We called out, hang on. Oh no.
And now he's dead.
And now he's dead. Caster Curse, by the way. Final Wax at least gets a return kill onto Timing's Draven and trying to push through the jungle looking for Shin. Buddy, that is not your jungle. I fear this is just a death being delayed. He's trying to do his best to make them work for it. And you know what? I can respect the hustle. Stutter stepping on his way out. But in the end, he gets, yeah, he gets bursted down there by Baguettes. And as I was saying, Stuart, because Hest is getting a lot of gold right now, this is actually not a tank Galio build like we were expecting. This is going to be more of a bruiser setup.
Interesting. I guess because you are playing that more, I guess, carry style, because you have that center by your side, is the Galio with the center combination there. So maybe that's one of the reasons why you want that little bit more damage. I'm kind of surprised though, as you mentioned as well, expecting the tank version of the build, because you already have the Aurora that's already going to be dealing a lot more damage, and you kind of need more front line for this Aurora to be able to move around in fights, and also to give you a little bit more of a safety net for the likes of the Sennas. But going to be interesting. The Galio is going to be able to deal that little bit more damage. One interesting thing to note though, Rafa, is that Draven was able to get a kill before he died, so now he's able to get one of their adoration stacks, and he still lives this fight as well. So Draven is stacking up and is... Oh, is he dead? He might be dead.
Winds of War, see ya. The Dandelion was trying to flash in the guarantee.
That's twice now, Rafa. We said, oh yeah, the Draven's looking good, and oh, the Draven's going to live, and then he dies.
Yeah,
that's twice now, Rafa. Not very good time to be a Draven player.
It was a nice Justice Punch flash setup to start off the fight. That Justice Punch goes a little wide, puts him in range of the turret, forces him to use the heroic entrance just to ensure that he gets out alive. But through all the chaos, through all the shenanigans, Dandelion does get a lot of alone time on that top side of the map and pops the first turret of the game.
Big lead on the top side here for the Gnar, nearly 1,000 gold lead just by farming and just by having an advantage in that top side. Dandelion doing an incredible job against Young, being able to, like I said, you see no assists, no kills in that top side with the Gnar against Wukong, just solely based on farming, on plate stacks, and also, as you mentioned, with that first tower as well. Hecarim looking for an invasion of the bot side, but unfortunately, that's
look
a
at
flash on the center.
Dawning Shadow across all three members for the big shield and the big healing damage. Cyclone calls out the fight. Baguette's gonna try to continue on forward. Final Wax soars into the air under the turret, is taking multiple turret shots, but does he care? No, because he's got My Little Pony healing him up on top like a good kitten, and the rest of the Baguettes dealing so much damage to Kiteback tryouts, being able to push through the turret. They should be able to break it open as well.
I can't believe you just... like a good little kitten. Oh, that one's definitely going in the backlog. I was going on the backlog, Raph. I'll remember that next time. I remember that. Oh, another kill on the bot side. And yeah, we have 10 kills now for Baguettes. And again, it was a bit of a back and forth early game, but Baguettes just showing again that when the map opens up and when they can decide where they want to be on the map, they know where to be. Right place, right time every single time. And they're able to get small advantages around the map, which eventually excels into this huge gold lead. Draven was able to get one of the kills, but since then has died 3 times, so actually hasn't even been able to get any more of his passive stacks. Does have 2 items, but I think at this point, again, we have the scaling composition for Baguettes with the Shyvana, with the Aurora, and also the Senna scaling as well. So very difficult scenario here for the CIS region to try and take down France.
Low-key, it is kind of insane that Draven has been able to keep up in gold parity with, if you look at his counterpart being the Galio. His Final Wax just trying to mog them at the moment, throwing out these flare breaths. Massive onslaught of shadows into the backline. Hero's entrance gets interrupted. Call the Forge God for another knockup. But where's the damage? They can't get through. Dandelion's Czar, he throws them all into the wall. That's a good time if I've ever seen one. And the Baguettes are going to steamroll right through them once again. Timing pops the cleanse just in time to flash back over the wall. But Baguettes have done the damage, and they can look to the Baron as their prize.
As you mentioned, Rafa, Dandelion with the insane ultimate there onto the backline. The follow-up was great. It was a huge ultimate from the Hecarim and also the knock-up from the Ornn on top of that. But unfortunately, oh my god, random! Woo!
Well, that monkey
gonna get another one?
just got popped. Timing, trying to tango with the Bunny Girl right now. But Timing has got to run away from the rest of Baguettes. Baron secured. Shin can't get there in time. And that's a 6,000 gold lead at 12 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to kill the Shyvana here as well. Shyvana can just use his ultimate to get away. Might even be able to kill him as a solo kill, so needs to be a little bit careful here, Shin. But yeah, Nar's ultimate there from Dandelion really stopped the aggressive play, because as soon as Hecarim and the Ornn jumped in, Dandelion said, okay, I'm just going to risk my life, jump forward, and use my ultimate more defensively to try and stop the rest of the team from following up. And that was the huge difference in that fight, is that the engage was great from KBT, but there was just no follow-up afterwards, and that was all thanks to Dandelion. Looks like they're going in again, but Shin, he's getting one-shots.
Shin tried to go into the back line, and he got 10 into blue. Baguettes just do away with Shin's Hecarim. And the rest of the KBT squad can't do anything about it to salvage their jungler out of a bad scenario. But you know what, Stuart? I kind of relate. That was a moment where you see your jungle getting stolen away, and you're just like, I can't just sit here and do nothing about it. But unfortunately for them, KBT are so far behind in gold. Almost 10,000 at this point. Baguettes are hanging on by a thread as the rest of KBT are able to match back up, since Final Wax was not there with them in the fight. Trying to launch this Shyvana into the sky, flashing over the wall just in time. Stoneplate's shield giving Rose a little bit of reprieve as Final Wax tries to go back in.
Oh no, he's still alive!
Enough. But Dandelion is pushing onto the bottom of the map. Baguettes do throw away a lot of gold back into the pockets of KBT, but at least Dandelion does secure a big opening into the base.
That's a lot of shutdowns over to KBT. The shutdown onto Aurora, the Shyvana, and also the Senna. Big misplay there from Baguettes, overextending in that mid lane. But when you look at the gold lead, Rafa, it doesn't actually mean too much, unfortunately. There are no objectives up for KBT to be able to get. Looks like Shin is just going to try and invade the jungle camps here and try and steal some of the stacks away from the Shyvana. But unfortunately, he might actually be dying for it. It's going to have to use that ghost to get away to safety, but that Gnar is also very fast himself.
Yeah, between the Trinity Force and the Plaque Cleaver passive, he gets so much movement speed as soon as he starts laying down those auto attacks and boomerang blades. KBT have to be careful anytime they try to tango with Dandelion in the side lane in a 1v1 scenario. Baguettes just waiting and putting a stranglehold on this game, ensuring that Final Wax is getting a lot of the economy, splitting on one side of the map, far away from the rest of the squad. This is very good macro coming out from the French squad.
Yeah, they're doing an incredible job at the moment to try and close out this game. Still a 9,000 gold lead. Even with that mistake, they were able to take 2 inhibitor towers, one in the top lane and one in the bottom side of the map as well. And when you take them inhibitor towers away, it means that you're really on the back foot here for KBT. They're not able to do too much. They can't even really escape their own jungle. They're going to give up this dragon. And at this point, Shyvana should have the 400 stacks from her passive, which means that she just gone absolutely insane. Hesitate flash you forward. Oh my!
And Final Wax is right there with them, sailing on into the back line. Hero's Entrance gives one good the call. The Forge God tries to break open the fight and gives a retreat path to everyone else from KBT, but Rose and Crocodile cannot escape the power of Baguette and Brinza. And that's the French squad breaking open the second turn in the mid lane, looking to the Baron next.
They're going to go straight towards this Baron. Second Baron on the cards here for Baguette. It looks like Shin is going to try and potentially steal this, but it's going to need a miracle, I think, at this point. Oh, my. Is he? Oh, he's just dead, Rafa.
The first strike from Aurora is the final nail in the coffin for this horsey, and the rest of KBT are on the retreat. Young trying to run for his life, sends it back in because he knew that there was no way out of that one. It's the ace for Baguettes at 16 minutes. The turn should be secured, and the rest of Baguettes are pushing into the base.
Yeah, and I mean, they might try and end the game now, to be honest with you. The Baron up minions are going to be coming. It looks like Random and Dandelion are just playing with their souls right now. The rest of the team is going to be there as well. And Baguettes will secure the 2-0 and be our first finalist here for the Rift Legends battle. Overall, pretty dominating performance, Rafa. I think that there is no surprise in the end. Again, though, they are making mistakes, but I feel like they're just... They get such a big lead, Rafa, that even if they do make these little mistakes, that they still have a 10,000 goal lead, even if they all die, and they're still able to just come back out onto the Rift and dominate the CIS region. And Kiteback tryouts will be going 2-0 in the end.
Well, Stuart,
unfortunate.
I know that we intended this stream to be family friendly, but I think the last 3 minutes of that game was definitely something you see on an adult site. So sorry to all the fans that were hoping for a more appropriate viewing experience, but sometimes that's just how the way it is. And Baguettes did not leave any room for mercy in that final beatdown against Kiteback tryouts. Admirable showing from them, making it this far against one of the favorites, if not the favorite, of Rift Legends Battle Weekend that we were expecting going into this bracket. We will now be waiting on the conclusion of the other semifinal between Next Generation and Ex Calamidad, which should be wrapping up either their second game very soon, if not their series, because right now, from what we got info-wise on our staff and admins team, Mina, Next Generation is leading the series 1-0 right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the French squad will be our first finalist, so we will be seeing them again in our next series, and we're just waiting to see what the conclusion of game number 2 is for the Mina versus Spain matchup. If Mina win 2-0, then great, happy days. We get the Mina versus France grand final.
Day.
If it does go to game 3, though, it does seem like potentially that we will be watching game number 3. But nope, we just got confirmation there from our admins that it was 2-0 to Mina. So we will be getting France versus Mina in our grand finals. So we'll be able to check that one out as well. This is the updated bracket. Of course, it's not updated with the bottom part yet, but Next Generation did beat Spain 2-0. So we will be seeing that grand final between Baguette and Next Generation. Two teams we watched Next Generation as well. It was our first series yesterday, Rafa, against Poland. So two teams that I'm very excited to see when they go head to head. I'm
just saying, Stuart, I think we had good predictions on the teams that we ended up spectating between our first 2 best of 3s from yesterday. So I don't know if we had like a crystal ball on the side. We have the script somewhere laid out behind our monitors here, but all according to plan. But now it comes down to one last, I'm not going to say showdown because that's the name of the weekend tournament next week. But one last clash between our two finalists, between Baguettes and Next Generation, to determine who will advance to Rift Legends Showdown next weekend alongside our top 3 point scorers from the Open EMEA circuit held throughout the past couple of months. It's going to be an exciting time, Stuart. I believe we're going to be breaking, though, for a bit before we get ready for this final match.
Yeah, we will be taking a short break just to give the players a bit of time, a bit of preparation, a bit of time to relax. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back very, very shortly with the grand finals of the Rift Legend battles. France against MENA. You do not want to miss it. See you in a bit.
Bienvenidos a Madrid. Eso no. We are here. Let's go. No confiaron, pero mira, no. Llego con los míos y la grada explota. Le di la razón al que me quiso ver bien. Lo soñé en mi habitación y ahora primera me ven. No te hablo del avión. Vine por mi cinturón. Voy a hacer que recuerde mi nombre. No me importa cuándo ni dónde. Yo por esto la sufrí y aposté por mí como el doble. Yo no sé lo que es perder desde el 2000 y pico. Y si fallo, detrás tengo a mi equipo. No confiaron, pero mira, no. Llego con los míos y la grada explota. No confiaron, pero mira, no. Llego con los míos y la grada explota. No confiaron, pero mira, no. Llego con los míos y la grada explota.
Well, that took longer than expected. We're back. We're ready for the grand final finally after players actually decided they wanted to click the accept button and wanted to eventually join the lobby. But we're ready to go. France against MENA, Baguette versus Next Generation to see who'll be the team that'll become the winners of the battle and move on to next weekend's €4,000 showdown. It's going to be an exciting one, Rafa. Again, as we mentioned before, two teams that we've already watched. We've watched Big Ed twice. We watched Next Generation once. There's a first series of yesterday. So pretty excited to see how these teams are going to go head-to-head, because I think they have a lot of very strong players coming into the Rifts.
Very true, Stuart. And for Next Generation, we were definitely impressed by their play, and they were, at least in the best of 3 that we saw from them, easily stomped their opponents in the Whistler Sharks. There were a couple moments where the Sharks had an opportunity to try and come back, but then Next Generation were able to pull back and demonstrate some clutch factorness, which they're going to definitely need trying to take on the Titans in Baguettes and Brinza, which, as we said at the beginning of this weekend, was one of our expected favorites for this bracket. Here they are in the finals, but Next Generation, we'll see what they got.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult still for the MENA squad to try and take down the, I guess, French powerhouse, we can call them now, because we've just seen them dominate game after game after game. They haven't dropped a single game, but to be fair, neither has MENA as well. So if you go on that front, then we got the 2 strongest teams in this tournament going head-to-head for that grand final. Of course, there was the €1,000 of this final, which the players were able to compete for. That was split amongst the top 4 players, or top 4 teams, I should say, of the Rift Legends battle. And then next weekend is €4,000 split between 4 different teams. So even more prize pool and even more prizes to be won for all of these players. So this is a pretty big final. Again, I like to call Rift Legends kind of like, I like to call Rift Legends battle like more of a bragging rights than anything, because you're kind of saying it as like a, you're kind of saying that you are the best team, you are the best country in EMEA, but also it means that you go on to next weekend's showdown as well. So not only do you win the the upper of the €1,000 from this weekend, you also have at least the minimum from the top 4 from next weekend as well. So nice bit of chunk of prize pool in general.
It's all about that money, baby. You got to get it to the final stage. And it would be a shame for either one of these squads to push so hard across 2 full days here for the Wild Circuit just to come up short and not be victorious here in Rift Legends battle, as well as advancing to Rift Legends Showdown next weekend against our other 3 teams that have been patiently waiting this whole time so that they could get the epic showdown of epic proportions with that prize pool.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be exciting stuff to see what team's going to come out on top in the end. We should be getting into the next round very, very shortly. We should be getting into draft shortly as well. This is a BO3 final. Next weekend, we'll be moving to BO5s though. The showdown is all BO5s for next weekend. So that'll be the 2 semifinals, the 3rd place matchup, and the grand finals. But for this weekend, it's all BO3s. We are still in Fearless Draft. So we will be seeing 10 champions banned from game number 1, which are going to be picked. But we're ready to go into Champions Select 4 game number 1. And straight away, Rafa, Next Generation, going to be banning away the Aurora. They don't want to see Random on that Aurora. I think he's been on an absolute tear over the last 2 series.
Yeah, the Between Worlds cast have either just blown up people in one spell rotation or created enough disruption that it made it very difficult for the enemy forces to try and push through those choke points. So good call out there. Baguettes, though, going to respect the power of Aatrox, even if it's not in their own hands. The Akali also taken off the board. And
bye-bye Nidalee again.
Man, I guess.
I don't think you're going to see it, Rafa. You know what would be funny as well if next weekend a team picks Nidalee.
And I'm not on it because Blam's back. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to kill Blam, bro. Like, I know he's in the Philippines. I might have to just send someone to delay his flight back just for another chance to cast Nidalee. Come on, man. Come on.
Hey, we still potentially have 1 or 2 more games after this one, so there might still be a slim chance. But yeah, I just think the players are just not comfortable on the champion. I mean, we saw it only once, I believe, a few weeks ago in Vietnam. So that was a little bit unfortunate, but it's going to be Bard first pick for Next Generation. So we saw it yesterday in one of our series. I can't remember exactly who it was, but we saw the power of Bard and what he can do with his ultimate and his aggressive plays overall.
Tempered Fate can either make or break a game for the good or for bad. Baguette's going to lock in this Gwen, and then Ezreal to follow up. So this tells me that Baguette's want to play a lot of divers, because then the Ezreal can operate safely on his own terms and not have to rely on his team to peel threats away for him.
Mm-hmm. Normally, they are the ones that ban away the Ezreal Baguettes, but they're picking up for themselves this time again, as you mentioned, for that safety net. Lucian also banned away for Next Generation, which has been a safety point for Josh and has been, using that champion to perfection over the last 2 series of what we've watched from Baguette. So Ezreal going to be picked up instead. Camille over onto most likely the hands of randoms. So we have the 2 solo laners already with the Camille and the Gwen, and an AD carry. And on the other side, we have Swain as one of the solo laners. And then we have the duo combo of Corki and Bard. So a lot of other solo laners are going to be banned out here, Fiora and Wukong. So we're going to be going quite deep here into the champion pool of these solo laners.
Just making sure that all the Baron lane options are at least being threatened. But with things like the Shyvana being taken off the table, recognizing that Baguettes still have yet to pick a jungler for themselves. Not to say that these champions couldn't play jungle, but it's been quite a while since we've seen Camille jungle be strong, and Gwen jungle maybe not would be the play for Baguettes. So that's why Next Generation are investing even more options of just trying to thin out what could be Final Wax's champion of choice, hovering on that Viego right now.
Yeah, Viego, Shyvana ban. As you mentioned, Gwen could be in the jungle. She did receive a few buffs a few patches ago, and her jungle clear got a little bit quicker. But honestly, I still think they're probably going to go for another jungler instead. Maybe something like a Lee Sin could be an option. Or maybe we might see the Volibear locked in, so it could be something else. But no, there you go, Lee Sin locked in. And no surprise, I mean, when there's so many other champions banned out already, the Aatrox being banned, Viego, you just fall back to the Lee Sin. Very comfortable pick here for Final Wax. Even though Final Wax is considered one of the best when it comes to jungle, when it comes to just best players in EMEA, his champion pool at times does feel very restricted. Like, he's really good on a few champions, like obviously Lee Sin, Viego, Shyvana, and Aatrox, maybe Riven as well, which he hasn't shown. But outside of that, his champion pool doesn't widen too much. So you kind of know what's coming when you're playing against Final Wax. But even so, even if you put on him a champion that he doesn't really play too much, he's still able to come up with some crazy combos and some crazy dive potential in the end.
Well, Next Generation lock in their jungler option of choice with the Mbessa. Hold up, Stuart. Something either has gone terribly wrong, or we're getting a support Camille. Huh? All right, support Camille from Hess. Even in the Arcane comment down the Bard and Corki lane with the tactical sweeps as well. This is fun.
I'm confused, Rafa.
Hey man, let him cook.
Either this was a misclick of a pick or something's happened, but that is not normal, Rafa. I would say that not normal. I don't know what you would call it. What would you call Camille support?
I mean, it has value once you hit level 5. You have initiation. You can gank with your hook shot, but other than that, if you don't get economy on this champion, it's really hard for her to have any value, because you're very ultimate dependent at that point, or flash dependent, so that you can try and reposition the stun of your hook shot onto the target of your choice, and you have no combat power if you are low on gold.
I'm very confused, Rafa. Very, very confused. This is the most confused I think I've been for a long time. We normally see some spicy picks, but this is a whole new level of spice. This is like, I don't know. This is like some, I don't even know. I'm lost. I'm lost for words. But well, anyway, we'll see anyway. I mean, if they can pull this off, then I mean, at this point, just go Varus support in the last game and just just run away with it all.
Just imagine if Baguette do win this game, they go for the mental damage angle and then just say, like, yeah, we can beat you with Camille support. What's your answer into that Next Generation? And also, because this is Fearless, it thins out another powerful champion from the pool. Yeah, it's not being played in its ideal role, but I'm just saying, let the French cook, man. You know, they perfected modern day cooking and cuisine and gastronomy. Why can't they come into the kitchen with Camille support?
Their most well-known food is baguettes. They don't know how to cook.
Oh, well, ladies and gentlemen, I do not share the opinions of Stuart on the channel here. I do believe French can cook, and they modernize some of the best cooking techniques. Anyway, flash out of My Little Pony as he gets away from what could have been a deadly gank setup. Meanwhile, speaking of deadly gank setups, it's the turret dive being set up by the Volibear Ultimate, and Final Wax is on the board with first blood.
Yeah, that easy tower dive there with the level 5 from the Volibear. Not really anything that Ambessa can do in that top side. Has already used that teleport as well to get back to lane. So pretty unfortunate start. But that's the power of the Volibear at level 5, that you'll be able to just use the ultimate underneath the tower and just disable that tower. So you take 0 damage. Absolute 0 damage. And oh, there you go. It's happening.
They lock up 4X, and it's enough for My Little Pony to send one more Mystic Shot into the back of Corki. Was looking for Solo's Bard on top of it as well. Unfortunately for him, not enough damage from that last first ability to make the job done. But it's now 2 kills for Baguettes and almost a 2.5 thousand gold lead.
Yeah, already just such a big lead that we've seen already. And oh, Josh might be in a little bit of trouble here. Is just going to be able to walk back to safety. Don't really want to recall there if you're playing on Baguettes right now, because recording from that position can be a little bit awkward, as Hestae's stepping forward, just playing a little bit aggressive, trying to stop the invade from coming in from the Wukong. But you're seeing again, like, just look at the jungle lead. Like, this is what I mean by Final Wax. Like, he just knows how to efficiently farm through his jungle, and he does this every single game. When you play against someone like Final Wax, how do you cope with someone like this that knows where to be at the right time, that can efficiently farm through the map, that knows when to tower dive and look for it? And look, he's going again, Rafa, into the top side. Volibear Ultimate as well could just dive in onto this Ambessa. And look, he's going in top lane.
Sonic Wave, Volibear Ultimate disables the turret, forcing the flash out of the Ambessa, trying to run for her life, but cannot get away in time. And Random secures the collapse onto the top side so that Heaven's Roam is all for naught, trying to buy space for the Wukong to come in, but it's just too late. The Wukong can't get over the wall, tries to finally walk on through, has Cyclone available, but already gets dropped below 100 HP. And the hop from Final Wax, just wrap it up, Stuart. Baguettes already have a 4,000, 5,000 gold lead at 5 minutes, and Final Wax is leading the kills 4-0 on this Lee Sin.
Final Wax is just styling on them at this point. Like, he's not even breaking a sweat, Rafa. He's just able to do this with ease. He doesn't even need to do anything. He doesn't even need to try hard. He's just been dominating every single series that he has played in the battle, and he's already ready for the showdown next weekend, Rafa. He already wants to book his ticket for the... Oh, but no, not enough damage!
It's not enough! My Little Pony survives! Will not be sent to the glue factory today! And Salo gets taken out alongside 4X. The Wukong comes in, cannot save the situation at all. How can this be? A 7-0 start by Baguettes, not a single kill secured by Next Generation.
Oh my, Camille support getting a double kill. That is not something that you expected to hear in 2025 in Wild Rift, but that is happening here in the battle. And now they've already taken a Rift Herald, and Random is just 1 versus 3 at this dragon, forcing the members away, and they're even able to get a kill in the mid lane as well. Again, using that Volibear ultimate to perfection, just using the ultimate to disable the towers every single time. There's nothing the Next Generation can do about this.
Just look at the item difference, Stuart. There's so much damage coming through from these first item spikes. Everyone else from Next Generation, it was just sitting on components. Finally, a Malignance is secured or completed by Heaven Swain, but it feels a little too late at this point. Like, Baguettes have already achieved a 10,000 gold lead before 7 minutes. This is just insanity.
That is just incredible to see the way that Baguette pilots these champions, the way that Baguette pilots the Rift as well. Again, time after time, you just feel like Baguettes just can't get any better, but they just feel themselves every single time, and they just feel the momentum coming on through. They've just been building up as this battle has gone on. And as a reminder as well, the winning team here will be going through to the showdown next weekend as well. So it'll be incredible to watch this Baguettes lineup next weekend as well against some of the best that EMEA has to offer. But for now, they are just dominating through this battle. The French squad is just way too powerful for anyone. Every team that they've stepped in their path at the moment. And look at the items across the board. 2 items already for Lee Sin after not even 8 minutes.
And Wukong doesn't even have his first item yet completed, Stuart. That is a jungle canyon right now being shown on my screen. Baguettes, an overwhelming 11,000 gold advantage. The Tempered Fate by Salo just stalls out a play from being secured by Baguettes, but Final Wax keeps threatening with those sonic waves, and maybe the first kill of the game for Next Generation, but Final Wax is there to escort Random out to safety. Final Wax still has the Dragon's Rage at the ready, kicks one out with that Wukong being sent over to the skies, but the Cyclone sends him up, and that's the first kill secured by Next Generation. Dandelion is going to make them pay for it, though, flashing away just at the right moment. Flash from Heaven secures it. Down goes the bear. Random could be next, and Baguettes have done a little too much fun playing at this stage of the game. Next Generation secure punishes and pick up 3 kills.
But meanwhile, whilst this is all happening, Rafa, the Corki and the Bard actually died on the bottom side of the map. So again, we're seeing the same thing, Rafa, that even if Baguettes do make a mistake and overextend, which they did, in that bottom side of the map, they still have a 10,000 gold lead. They're still able to get advantages on the opposite side of the map, being able to take that tier 2 tower. And no, right place, right time for Final Wax again. He just knows where everyone is, and he goes for the invade as well. He needs to be a little bit careful. He just jumps in, Rafa. He sneakily is able to take away the Crocs, and he just dashes away to safety. It's just way too clean. Tier 2 tower mid lane gone down now. Tier 2 tower in the top lane gone down now. And it's just so many towers gone. Bard has to use the Tempered Fate defensively to stop the Rift Herald push, but that doesn't matter because Random is just so far ahead.
And Random comes in with the needlework set up by Hexek Ultimatum to secure another blow onto Salo's Bard. Heaven pops the ultimate, tries to secure them into this jungle. Nice Dragon's Rage by Final Wax, stalls out the play and ensures that the rest of the Baguettes can retreat safely before Heaven's ulti does time out in the end. We're at 10 minutes into the game, Stuart. It's still a massive advantage from Baguettes, and Next Generation, to their credit, have picked up a couple kills here and there, but still the pains and the destruction that has been left by Baguettes is still feeling too massive to overcome.
Yeah, exactly. They just get too much big of a lead, so they can just play with so much freedom, I feel like, in these later stages of the fights, because you know that they're just so far ahead. I mean, look at the goal lead just in the jungle alone, Rafa. Like, was that 4,000 goal leads in the jungle? Just absolutely insane. At 11 minutes in this game, Final Wax is sitting at over 1,000 gold a minute right now, and as a jungler, that is the perfect number that you really want to reach. And it just shows that every single time that Final Wax is able to enter onto the Rift, he knows about the jungle paths, he knows where he needs to be on the map, he knows about his jungle respawn times, and he just efficiently farms through the jungle. And I feel like the only sort of other players that I see do this sort of thing is players that we see in China, like Long or like Hueba, who just knows where to be on the map at the right time and knows when the jungle camps are spawned, and he can just go around free farming, being able to take some of these jungle camps away. And now they're just going to dive in onto the Ambessa, and Tempered Fate doesn't even help in the end.
Yeah, Final Wax gets in, gets dropped to about 400 HP. The fight is being admirably played out by Next Generation, but Wallet Diff is just too thick from the side of Baguettes, and Next Generation lose out on 3 members, lose out on 4. My Little Pony getting dangerously close to the Nexus Tower. And unfortunately for him, there was still an inhibitor to play through, but he does not care. He drops 1 for 1 in the end, and that secures the Baron for the side of Baguettes. And I have to say, Stuart, when you have a massive lead like this, any fight is pretty much guaranteed to be winning on your side unless something dastardly goes awry for the side of Baguettes. But as you called out, efficiency has been the staple of this game, especially from Final Wax.
Now they're just going to head towards this second dragon. I don't think they even need this dragon at this point. Yeah, Final Axe is like, yeah, I don't care about a dragon. I just want to invade your red buff instead. And that just shows the priority that these teams have. And yeah, he just steals that away as well. Like everything is getting taken away at the moment from this Wukong. And he is finding no place at all to be able to farm up. You can see Final Wax is eventually going to be taking that dragon. But it just shows the priority of dragons overall, just kind of in the meta and in Wild Rift in general, that junglers would much rather prefer to take away some jungle camps and take away a red buff rather than taking the dragon, because it just doesn't give you that much bigger an advantage. You'd much rather invade, take away a red buff, because not only are you getting yourself more gold, but you're also denying a lot of gold as well onto the enemy jungle. And now with the Baron buff as well, you're seeing Final Wax split push in that top side of the map, and it's just 3 lanes all pushing into these inhibitor towers.
Yeah. Lee Sin can do so much damage to turrets, especially with that Trinity Force on his side. So that's going to force the answers from Next Generation to respond. But the Baron buff already doing work with the minions. He pushes away any threats with the Dragon's Rage, and he ends up killing him thanks to the bleed passive of that Serelda's Grudge. Final Wax is going to take a recall because they've already done the damage in opening up 2 inhibitors in the base of Next Generation.
You know, they're using that volley bear as kind of a bait on the bottom side, was able to push that one on through, and Ambessa had to defend that bot lane. But as you mentioned, meanwhile, on the opposite side of the map, you just don't know where they're going to be at any given point. They can just rotate so quickly. They have so much mobility with their champions that he can rotate at any time, and they can be wherever they want to on the map at whatever time as well. 15,000 goldies now onto Baguettes, and it's just smooth sailing for them. Again, it just feels like they're just not even breaking a sweat this game as well. And now that Heste's got 2 items, the Divine Sunderer and the Sunderer Sky, going for a more I guess Bruiser style build and a more survivability build. He's not really focused about dealing damage. He just wants to survive in these fights. And again, as you mentioned, Rafa, use the ultimate as the lockdown instead and use that to your advantage. As you can see, Heste's just waiting in the wings right now, just trying to find the right moment to use his Hextech ultimatum to try and lock someone down.
I mean, low-key, Stuart, the fact that a support Camille has just as much gold as the enemy Corki 80 carry, that's a feels bad moment if you're the Corki, because that means you're getting dueled by the enemy support. But that is just the reality of the state Next Generation are currently in. Nearly 14,000 gold behind, doing everything they can to stall out for a miracle. I don't expect one to come anytime soon. It just comes down to how fast Baguettes can close this game out at this point. The only hope that Next Generation can even aspire for is for an Elder Dragon to come up and a severe misplay to be occurring from Baguettes, but they're going to look for the play. Stasis does block the Hextech ultimatum, and Salo does find a flash away from danger, so at least they get an ultimate burn from the side of Baguettes.
2 ultimates burned. I believe Ezreal did also use his ultimate as well, so 2 ultimates burned, but I think even without them 2 ultimates, you can still look to find ways in which to try and dive onto the side of Next Generation here. And it looks like they're just setting up for this Baron right now, and actually looks like Josh is just using the Ezreal ultimate as more of poke than anything else. You're seeing how much damage the Ezreal ultimate is just doing to the Bard alone, and now just using the Tempered Fate to try and use that defensively. But there we go, the diving onto the Swain.
Teleport comes in. Final Wax does have a GA, so he goes down once, but can you bring him down again? And the rest of Baguettes will ensure by rallying around him that Final Wax will not drop a second death this game. 22 kills to 6, 69,000 gold against 51,000. Almost a staggering 20k gold lead by the end of this first game. That is Baguettes leading the series 1-0.
Very dominating again from Baguettes, just really showing why they are some of the best that EMEA has to offer as well. You got players like Final Wax, you got players like Random as well. Both these players are considered some of the best of EMEA, and they really showed in this game that they can dominate. They can play with free reign. They can dominate around the Rift as well, and just an incredible performance overall for them. I think that they really showcasing throughout this entire weekend they just want to smoosh away with the battle. They want to go away with the battle. They just want to breeze through the entire battle and get ready for the showdown next weekend, because that is just, absolutely crazy. As Green said in chat, 17,000 gold for Vex. I think he had over 1,000 gold a minute in the end on that Lee Sin. And yeah, you can't ban that man out. You just can't ban him out. Like I said, he has like 5 or 6 really strong champions, but when you only have 5 bans, he's going to have something left open that he can still carry on, which is just incredible to think about.
And it's just so crazy to see the most dominant game displayed by Baguette is finally happening in the freaking finals of all places. Because we were expecting, okay, well, if Next Generation made it all the way through this lower side of the bracket, then this has got to be the closest matchup that we will expect. Nah, the cats come in, say Kanino Kalang, they smack their butts upside the head, and Next Generation are now already down 0-1 in this series score, where the next loss is their final one, and it decides Baguettes as the winners of Rift Legends Battle. And last thing I'll say, Stuart, is how crazy is it that after 5 years of this awesome game, Lee Sin still finds his way to being one of the most aggressively powerful junglers in this game. It's like
it's always been the case, right? Ever since release. Ever since release.
Lee Sin has been insanely OP. And yes, the numbers back and forth have made it so like, hey, you got to be really skilled with this champion in order to get the rewards out of him. Well, good thing that Final Wax has got pretty nice thumbs, bro. And he knows how to be efficient with his farming.
He knows what he's doing with them thumbs, right?
Exactly.
He knows exactly what he's doing. Yeah, it is fearless though, so it does mean that Lee Sin is not going to be picked this time around. But as I said, he has plenty of champions up his sleeve as well. Like I said, he has 5 or 6 really strong champions that he plays day in, day out. I see this guy grinding so much. He might not do too much in terms of content. He does stream sometimes, but I see him online all the time, always grinding, always trying to get one of the top ranks, whether it's in normal ranked, whether it's in legendary queue. He's always up there as one of the best as well. And I think it just shows throughout this entire weekend why people fear him every single time. Like sometimes when you load up onto the Rift and you see Final Max as the enemy jungler, you just got to say, okay, well, this is just going to be a jungle diff this game, and there's nothing else that we can really do about it as well. But hey, Heste, even with Camille's support in the end, actually didn't work out that bad. The way he played it was quite interesting. It was just diving in and just using his ultimate every single time he had it available.
Say it with me, Stuart. It is the holiday season, and just sing with me. Jungle diff, jungle diff. Sometimes it just happens.
I guess the Next Generation need a Christmas miracle, right? They need Santa to come save them, I think, from this series.
Yeah, they are hoping that they have not been too naughty this year and that they'll get some kind of reprieve, a bailout from Santa. Otherwise, they're just going to be dropped with more coal in their stocking, and that is not the ideal scenario after climbing all the way through the other side of the bracket. But because this is Fearless, apologies, something got in my eye. I'm not sure what it was. Something. Oh God. I'm back. No, my eye is irritated now. All right, well, I'm just gonna be cosplaying Lee Sin and going blind in this next game. That's okay. Where was I going?
Thank God the rest of the teams are not going to be like that. Hey, thank God they still have their eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you definitely need them. This is Fearless, so they don't have to deal with the Lee Sin anymore. But tactfully, Baguettes, whether they believe Camille's support is a real thing or they're just that much better that they can pull it off, they have eliminated Camille from the pool. So it's not something that they have to even worry about going into the second game, which I still think is a strategy that needs to be explored by other teams, not just in Wild Rift, but in other games that practice this method. If you have a champion that can be played in a different role, and you eliminate it from the pool, especially if it's like a meta defining champion or a very strong one in the current lineup of things, it's a good way to remove picks that your opponents want to try and secure for themselves when they're on blue side.
Yeah, I think with this being a best of 3 though, I think it's just a case of, as you mentioned, I think they just have better thumbs. Like they just know what they're doing with with their champions, and they could just pick what they want at this point. Like if it was best of 5, I could totally understand that maybe you want to pick something away that maybe you don't feel comfortable on yourself, or your solo laners don't feel comfortable on, and you want to kind of deny that away. That has been a case in the past though with Fearless Draft. We have seen that before as like I'm not really strong on this champion, but if I can take this away from you picking it in the next game, then we still take that as an advantage. We'll still take that as a W. But I think with this just being a best of 3, there's not really too many champions that are going to go out of the pool. It's just really that best of 5 where it really comes into play. But with this only being a best of 3, and obviously the best of 5s are next weekend instead, we still have to wait and see what other champions are going to be picked up. But yeah, I think there's still plenty of champions that are on the table here that can still be picked up. In terms of AP champions, we still have the Rumble, which was actually banned the previous time, so we can still potentially see Rumble this time. Swain was a bit of an interesting one. I think we've seen Swain a few times, and it's just never really been that successful. I think with Swain, it's very difficult to I guess kind of come up on top in these longer duration fights, these longer drawn out fights, because the fights just happen so quickly, Rafa and Wild Rift. You feel like, you spoke about this to me in Vietnam as well, is it feels like, compared to PC League, Wild Rift is just like whoever attacks first, whoever deals the damage first, just one shots the other person, and that's it. The fight's pretty much done. And that's kind of the big difference between, Wild Rift and League, which means champions like Swain don't really have enough time to ramp up in these longer fights.
The only way I've seen Swain's have like massive advantages in team fights is if he's already walking into these fights with a significant gold lead, because then he has enough durability through the stats and the levels that he's accumulated ahead of his opponents that he doesn't get completely one shot in the first rotation of spells by the opponents. Because if he doesn't get one shot, then he sustains through it all. He deals decent damage, but then he is just pretty much draining everyone around him. And then by the time you get to your second rotation of spells off cooldown, the fight is already probably over, which is not necessarily the ideal way that Swain long-term wants to play out, the fantasy of just, you can never kill me. I'm just, sorry, intrusive thoughts almost won there, but I held it for you, Stuart. He's just draining everyone off, so that way no one can really bring down this Swain once he pops his ultimate. And at that point, but then the game is completely different. And then if we do have in the future for Wild Rift where fights are longly drawn out, I can't word. They're drawn out longer, then it changes the archetypes of builds and the champions that you actually want to play, because then you don't opt in for one-shot burst anymore if you can't one-shot your opponents. You go for sustain. You go for Divine Sunder and Sundered Sky. You're just playing for the long con. That's yapped enough so that we can get into the draft. The needle is bad again.
It's not going to be your weekend, Rafa, unfortunately. It's just not going to be your weekend.
I'm just, you know what? I'm queuing up a Wild Rift game.
You having withdrawal symptoms from Nidalee already?
I'm gonna queue up right now and make sure that I can at least get my in before the end of the day.
Bad times.
I'll have that ready once the broadcast is over. Yeah.
Sad Rafa noises.
It is what it is.
Okay. It's all good. Don't worry, Rafa. I'm here for you. In spirit.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Anyway, Nidalee banned, Aatrox banned, Vibe banned, pretty much the same bans that we saw in game number 1. We obviously do have Fearless, so we won't be seeing the same picks. But yeah, no Nidalee this time around, but all good because you can just always open up your phone and just open up a game after this.
True.
As you're cooking, Rafa. As you're cooking. I'm ready for the pictures, by the way.
Oh, don't worry. I'll send them your way. I'll send them towards the prods way as well. Completely different side topic. But for baguettes, they've already eliminated a couple champions from the jungle, Italy, and the boss being taken off the board. Potentially a Braum just to stifle what Salo could play from the support role. Next generation just returning to some of the same bans from first game. Aatrox and Aurora taken off the table. Maybe another Akali ban from random.
Yeah, Akali could be an interesting option. Kind of, again, gives you that AP damage source as well. But no, it's going to be the Lucian. So again, just comfort picks really being banned over here. But like I said, I think it's not just Final Wax. There's also these other players as well that have so many tools up their sleeves and so many picks that they can go for as well, including that Xayah. At least I get my girl. You might not get your girl, Rafa. But okay. Well, I spoke too soon. Oh well.
Get shit on. Sorry. Sorry. I just had to. I had to squeeze
I
it in there.
spoke too soon. What is this?
Yeah. Nautilus secured for baguettes. That'll be a powerful tool for Hest. Depth charge, always a great and reliable way to lock down one priority target. But Rel is open, and next generation will waste no time in securing that for themselves. Powerful AoE engage tool. And before more jungle bans can hit the table from baguette, they are just going to secure, more than likely, it's yet to be locked in, but I imagine you should go for the Viego and give your jungler the best chances for success going into this game too.
Interesting. Oh, what else does that leave open then for the jungle pool? I'm trying to think of other champions. So Aatrox is banned. Riven could be another option. That Shyvana is also open, which we saw Final Wax Pyla in the previous series and was banned in game number 1 by next generation. Oh, we still get a Xayah anyway. We still get it locked in. Unlucky, Rafa. We still get the Xayah locked in. But yeah, the Nautilus is not the Camille this time, but still very, very powerful bot lane duo. We've been seeing Nautilus and just the engaged tools that you have with Nautilus and the ease of access, the easy engaged tools that you have. And then you pair that also with the Rumble as well. Going to be potentially knocked in here for baguettes. Yeah. Locked in straight away here for the side of baguettes. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the side already of baguettes, and I'm seeing so many powerful picks. And this is what happens when you see teams before pick champions like Lucian and Aurora. It's great to ban them because you know how well that they can perform on them. But again, you just leave so many of these other power picks open, like the Nautilus, like the Rumble as well. So you're not banning them, you're not picking them up for yourselves. And you're just giving them over for free.
For free, baby. I think it was a good call to make sure that the Rumble was separated from that Rel, because Magnet Storm is a great way to guarantee an equalizer right on top of multiple carries stuck together thanks to Rel's initiation tools. Fiora is going to be banned, denying that away from Random, since Dandelion can easily take the Rumble for himself, and then Random would have been given a powerful split pusher. Nocturne also taken down from the available options for Final Wax in this second game of the series. I think for next generation, they have to look at strong solo laners that can contend with a Rumble in the side lane and whatever Random wants to pilot as well, if it's not Rumble for Random, which is why Baguette is taking out the Assassin in this Akali, maybe a Rise if you want to get rid of another control mage that has split push opportunities. Boom, there you go.
That's going to be another option. And now you have to think now, what's the answer here for next generation? What are they going to answer with the composition, as you mentioned, with the Rumble just being such a strong side laner? What do you match into that? It looks like it's going to be the Renekton as one of the choices. Of course, they are on red sides. They still have the final choice of their solo laners. They can see what Baguettes round out their composition with, but Renekton already very aggressive, can obviously do very well against Rumble with the shielding. Yone going to be coming out here potentially for Random, and Final Wax is going to be playing Jarvan. This is a completely different play style for Final Wax that I have not seen in a very long time. And we've seen, and Aurelion Sol locked in. Okay.
Space Dragon!
This is a spicy draft. Okay, so Final Wax is not piloting the carry jungle this time. He's being more of a supportive pick with this jungle, which I think is, like I mentioned, just a very different play style that we're not used to seeing for Final Wax. It's going to be interesting to see how he pilots this job and if he still plays as aggressively as some of these other champions.
Stuart, I'm just excited to see an Aurelion Sol in 2025, baby. Oh my goodness. There was a time where Aurelion Sol, before the rework, used to be someone that you only saw once in a blue moon. And then even after the rework, I just cannot recall if Aurelion Sol was strong enough to be seen that often. So I'm a big fan of seeing some new champions hit the rift, and this is going to have to be one that gives Next Generation the big edge in giving us a potential 3-game series for the finals. Otherwise, this is going to be a baguette sweep.
Can they sweep the entire...
Yo?
I'm just going to pretend like I didn't see that.
You know what? Hest is getting spicy with it. Just wanted to see if he could, like, get a... I don't even know. Once again, I would not be a good lawyer in defending someone else's case. I was really struggling to find the reasoning behind Hest with the flash forward. I guess he was trying to see if he could scare Fura into doing flash for flash, but Fura held his ground, and now Hest is just down 2 summoner spells for practically nothing.
It's kind of what you could do sometimes with Nautilus, is when you play super aggressive, you can just flash forward and auto attack, and you just have so much crowd control at your disposal. Because if you can flash and land that auto attack onto a carry, you can just hook afterwards, you can slow with your third ability, and you pretty much guarantee a kill. But also, normally the flash happens when you have Hex Flash as your second option, because you can still use a Hex Flash later on to either play aggressively or play a little bit more defensively. But excuse me, you can see he doesn't have Hex Flash, so he was just flashing forward for fun, I guess, and trying to get an opening, which he unfortunately wasn't able to find.
Yeah, don't worry, Hest, we'll let you cook, brother. We saw the Camille support. It definitely surprised us on the desk, and it caught Stuart off guard for the first minute and a half of the game, and he slowly became a believer. And you know, that flash is going to come back up in the next 30 seconds or so it'll just be like it never happened, as we are hitting the 3-minute mark soon. Relatively nothing too exciting has happened on the rift. It has just been power farming from both sides, which does play into the hands of Next Generation, since this Aurelion Sol, the longer time he gets to scale up on the map, it's gonna be great. Dandelion should be fine walking away. Yami was trying to get feisty with that Dominus.
You can see that he can obviously break the shields of Rumble, and he can play very aggressive early on. Surprisingly, going for the plated steel caps kind of makes me feel like he doesn't really want to win the lane too much, and he doesn't want to prioritize too much about winning the lane. Instead, he's prioritizing in team fights and everything else, as well as
boy,
Viego
Dignity in a world of trouble. And that is his fate sealed by random, as Heaven is forced to flash away from the dredge line, but Final Wax wants to put this Space Dragon in the dirt. The Cataclysm walks him down, and he swag flag drags his way back to safety. Magnustorm for the re-engage from Salo. Can he get enough damage from Yami's Renekton to follow up on the engage? I don't think so. It's not going to happen anytime soon, because Random is here to escort the rest of his team out to safety, get some decent damage back into Yami. He really is trying to push this lead. You can sense the desperation in Next Generation's player models, as they're going to send for potentially another engage again.
Dominus from Renekton tried to play a little bit aggressive, unfortunately couldn't get the engage and get the CC there, unfortunately, as Dignity was just slowly looking behind and trying to get an opportunity there to try and jump onto the Rumble or the Yone. But I like the aggression though overall from the jungler of New Generation. I think that you want to play aggressive. You want to try and put Final Wax behind. He was able to steal the blue buff in the end, but unfortunately he did die for it. But playing aggressive is kind of what New Generation need and what players need to do against the likes of Baguettes. They want to play aggressive. They need to try and play to their advantage and play super aggressive. So making sure that they try and at least because the problem is against Baguette is if you just give them free reign of the Rift, they'll just be able to do whatever they want to, and you can't really do much about it. But if you're actually playing in the faces of Baguettes, and if you're the ones playing aggressive, then they actually need to make more decisions themselves. They need to be more decisive and, you know, be at the right place at the right time, which they were for that invade. But I still like the aggression in the end from New Generation.
Back to live here. Sallow and Hess just trading initiation blows. No real fights breaking out from either of their abilities there. 20 seconds away from neutral objective spawning on the Rift. Big item spikes coming in. Oh boy!
Man.
Well, that's a hell of a dive being accomplished by Final Wax and Random under the tower. And this Space Dragon, unfortunately, is not getting a chance to leave Earth anytime soon.
0-2 for the Aurelian Soul, and now it's Random running over this game on this Yone pick. Very, very, very crazy champion. When you can get ahead, it can be very scary. And there you go, another kill over to, I believe it was, Josh this time around actually got the kill. And now they're just playing super aggressive. And this is a 4 versus 5 this entire time as well, because they're just playing super aggressive. And meanwhile, Final X is just farming his jungle, by the way. It's a 4 versus 5, and Baguettes can still play this aggressive.
He has complete faith that his team is totally fine and that they are maneuvering out of these fights without his involvement. He even had Cataclysm available, so it's not like he couldn't contribute to the fights. He definitely could, but it's all about efficiency, Stuart. And if you believe in your team to get out of these situations without your involvement, that's more time that you're farming and the enemy jungler is not. And that has been the name of not just this game, but this entire series between Final Wax and Dignity.
Yeah, and just in all the games in general, I think just showing when you're farming through the jungle, the efficiency of when you're farming through the jungle. If you're focusing on ganking and if you're focusing on trying to get your laners ahead, if you're not able to at least get a few tower platings or get a few kills, then the jungler that's just going to farm is just going to get so much further ahead. And now, oh no, that's too much CC, isn't it? Oh, that's just one dead AD carry, unfortunately. And now the ensemble is going to be used on that bottom side, break through the bottom lane tower. Meanwhile, whilst this is all happening, Josh is actually pushing in the mid lane as well. Force the flash away from the Rel. Now they're just diving in onto Rel and Estee.
Might have been a little too far forward for that one, because the rest of the reinforcements for Next Generation quickly supply the needed assistance Sallow needed under that tower. The rest of the players from Baguettes trying to run away. Dandelion's going to have to give his life for the greater good. And Dignity does pick up another reset. But a great Blade Caller from My Little Pony does root a couple members from Next Generation, preventing them from continuing a dive under this tier 1 turret in the bottom side of the map. Next Generation able to claw back some kills, some gold back into their pockets, but still, it is a 6,000 gold lead that they have to somehow surmount.
And that gold lead is already very scary to deal with. You're seeing the jungle gold lead again, same as the previous game, but now it's this time the biggest lead is in that mid lane, Rafa, and Random has been able to pick up a few kills early on. Now has 2 items on this Yone, sorry. Now you can see the power of this pick and how scary you can be, because you have that safety net with Yone, which I feel like is just so powerful that you can just dash forward, deal so much damage, and then you're able to just jump back away to safety. It's like having a free flash every single time to get away to safety. You're dealing this free amount of damage, and now you can just jump away to safety. And yep, you're seeing that on the bottom side of this map as well, with the help of Heste. Killing spree now for Random in the side lane. And yeah, this just looks really scary now for Next Generation to try and close this one out.
Unfortunately, the only time to really punish a Yone is early on when he is too weak to fight back, especially in a 1v2 scenario, because Yone does become one of those champions with enough gold in his pockets. You try to send 2 people, you try to send 3 people, and through all the lifesteal, all of the attacks that he is able to whip out, it's just not enough. Dandelion could be in a world of trouble. That's a big pickup for Dignity from the side of Next Generation, continuing to put some gold into his own pockets, but the dive being secured by Baguettes in the mid lane. That's 1 kill going down. Final Wax was trying to dive past the second tier turret, looking for the second one. Oh no, Dignity, that is not a fight you want to play for! He wanted to get resets, but in a 1v3, that is never going to happen, my guy. And Baguettes say thank you very much for the free kill on the Viego's head, and that is now a 10,000 gold lead at 10 minutes, Stuart.
Yep, I mean, Dignity did well to get a pick onto Rumble on the top side of the map and was able to get a little bit of advantage, a little bit of gold under his pocket, and they tried to look for the flank in the mid lane. But unfortunately, when you just have so many members there like the Nautilus and the Yone, you have so much lockdown for this Viego that's so difficult to try and get one of the resets and get the potential of the Possessor in the end. And especially when your team is so far behind as well, how do you deal with such a fed Yone on the other side? 11,000 gold, over 11,000 gold now for the Yone. Now he's not even building any other crit items, he's just building Death Dance. Now look at that, he's just diving 1 versus 3 into the back line,
and he's got friends alongside him. Random is not going to be brought down anytime soon. The equalizer just couldn't do enough. Oh my god, Random, are you kidding me? S'il vous plaît, have some mercy on Next Generation. This is a brutal beatdown that we are witnessing right here in the final.
I got so much healing from the Death Defiance, going for that instead of the the Death Dance. Sorry, where'd I get Death Defiance from? I think it's a TFT item. I think it's a Death Dance. Sorry, yeah, but the Death Dance, him deciding to go for the item instead of another crit item, because sometimes you want to get like Mortal Reminder as your 3rd item to get more crit, to get more damage, but him going for that Death Dance just gives him that survivability that he needs in these fights, and the extra healing as well, which he was able to do. 1 versus 3 into the backline, being able to survive was just absolutely insane.
Between Bloodthirster and the Quick Blades, you have enough damage, you have enough lifesteal, and you have enough essential cooldown reduction that you can just cycle through all of your abilities rapidly in those prolonged fights. Next Generation trying to look for a pick onto a couple members here. Random gets dropped below 50% HP, but here comes the re-engage. Final Wax still doesn't even need the Cataclysm. He already used it at the beginning of the fight. Massive knockup from Random. They are just bulldozing through every single last one of Next Generation squad. Not a single person can be brought down from the side of Baguettes, and all in the meantime, Dandelion pushing through the bottom side of the base.
And again, a 4 versus 5 in the top side of the map goes in the way of Baguettes, and they just have better hands than Next Generation, unfortunately. And you can see right now that even if Final Wax doesn't play these carry style junglers, they're just hitting the Nexus. At 13 minutes, they've got all 3 inhibitors down, Rafa.
They've taken pretty much every single structure left in the game, and it's just an exposed Nexus waiting for Baguette to strike down. It's not going to happen anytime soon, as Next Generation will have a moment to reprieve and look for one last Hail Mary to throw before Baguettes take the series, take the circuit, and take Rift Legends battle in their own.
And they're ready for the showdown, Rafa. I think you can see it from these games. They're ready for the showdown. They breeze through this battle in the end, not dropping a single game. And yeah, I'm going to say, I mean, I don't think, I think a 20,000 gold lead, is just way too big to come back from. How do you come back from a 20,000 gold lead? You'd have to make so many mistakes. But as I was mentioning, I think this just shows that even if Final Wax doesn't pick a carry, there are still other players on this team that can be the carry, as Josh just flashes forward. He's okay. He's safe.
The inevitable is only moments away, Stuart. Baguettes and Brinza have walked through every challenge undeterred and unscathed. No opponent was even a close of a match as they could have been. Baguettes and Brinza are your Rift Legends battle champions.
And the French storm on top again. What a surprise. The French are just way too strong at this game, I guess. Like, they proved the bragging rights as one of the best countries and one of the best teams in EMEA, and they will move on to the Rift Legends Showdown next weekend, which is going to be an absolute blast. Next weekend is going to be great because there are so many different teams next weekend. Some of the best that EMEA has to offer. But yeah, this time around, the French are on top. MENA taking that second place, and then CIS and Spain wrapping up that top four in the end. But it's great to showcase just the different countries and the different regions in EMEA and what they have to offer as well. And like I said, it's bragging rights, but it's also a lot to play for. Of course, there's the €1,000 prize pool, and also you've been able to play for the €4,000 showdown next weekend, the last big tournament for the year in EMEA before the year comes to a close. So still a lot to play for, but also Baguettes in the end just say, yep, viva la France.
Viva la France! Yes, Stuart. You already know, baby. I'm so glad you brought that back up. I was like, should I remind Stuart from yesterday? But we kept the narrative through. Viva la France. Baguettes and Brinza, champions of the Rift Legends Battle Circuit. And they will now have a chance to face the other three teams waiting for them in next weekend's Rift Legends Showdown, the capstone to a 2025 season of Wild Rift here in EMEA. That's going to be an absolute blast. And I just hope that when you and Blam are casting it, Stuart, if someone locks in Italy, please just, you don't have to call me. Just let me know. Give me a shout out. You know, say in the spirit of Rafa. That would make my heart complete. So that even if I'm not there to celebrate firsthand an Italy game, you can do it for me.
Okay. I will DM Final Wax after this and make sure he picks it next week. There you go. Just to annoy you even more.
I mean, I've accepted my fate. I didn't get to see
you got
an
it a
Italy
few
game.
weeks ago in Vietnam, so you know, you got a few weeks ago.
That was awesome. That was sick. It was magical. It was blissful. Yeah. So, but no, this was an awesome weekend. Again, congratulations to Baguettes and Brinza, Stuart, and thank you for having me come on. I mean, we talked a lot about how it had been prior to Wild Round Smash 3 years before we had casted together again, met each other again, and then you guys call me up and say, "Hey, Blam is not here and out of town, so can you fill in?" I'm like, fuck yeah, bro. Get me in there. I'm always down to cast Wild Rift. Absolutely. No hesitation, no questions asked, baby.
It's always a blast, Rafa. Hopefully it won't be another 3 years. That's what we can hope for. Hopefully it'll be only a few months or something, or hopefully just next year there'll be some more Smash action, or maybe some more EMEA action that we can try and get you in on. So that'll be good fun as well. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's stream. 2 pretty quick 3-0s in the end. But that's not it. As we've been mentioning throughout the entire stream, we still have more EMEA esports next weekend, the Rift Legends Showdown, which will be happening on Saturday and Sunday at the same time. It will be the top 4 teams from EMEA, 3 from the circuit, 1 here from the Rift Legends Battle, which will be obviously Baguettes. Best of 5s next weekend as well. Best of 5 fearless. So a lot to play for next weekend. Of course, €4,000 prize pool as well. So it only gets bigger and better next weekend as well, which is going to be amazing. But Rafa, thank you as always for jumping in, and thank you always for being an absolute pleasure to cast by your side. Hope you have a great Christmas and a great New Year, and hopefully we'll be keeping in contact next year as well, which would be great. But as for everyone else, we'll see you all again next week. Hopefully you will be here next week as well. Until then, stay safe, be good to each other, and we'll see you all next time for more EMEA Rift Legends Battle.
Viva la France!